Welcome, everybody, to Strangest Species, episode 49. One away from the big 50, which means 3 away from 1 year of doing this.
Did we really start in the summer?
Apparently.
Huh.
Because we've never missed a week. There are 52 weeks in a year, right?
We took this on in the summer?
Yeah. I actually do remember we did an episode on... Remember the episode with... the Japanese soldier who didn't know World War II ended. Mm-hmm. So that one released the week of July 4th. Because I remember being on the boat and looking at the stats and being like, no one listens to podcasts over holiday 4th? Weekends. Yeah,
that's a shocker.
Because it was way down that week and then right back up again the next week.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it.
So apparently, yes.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah, almost a year.
We should have like a special party.
You should do the topic on our 1 year.
No.
We should switch roles.
Oh, that would be bad.
And you could tell me a story that I don't know about.
Oh, that would be very hard.
Why?
Because you just know all sorts of useless stuff and like random crap.
Oh, but there's so much more random crap out there in the world.
Yeah, but how do I know if you know about it or not?
That's true. It's a good point.
And
I can always assume you're not going to know about it.
It has to be a mystery. Well, you also know, like, you know what I'm into and you know what I do.
Well, you know what I'm into?
Yeah, but I feel like your podcastiness and stuff, like, I don't know what you're always listening to. So, like, I don't know what you know and don't know, and you know that I don't know.
I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
I hear you.
Except for with me listening to more books, I'm learning things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're always asking me stuff.
Yeah.
Like, did you learn about this thing in school or whatever?
Well, because I like historical fiction and I listen to stuff kind of about within the United States.
Yeah. It's funny because since she didn't grow up in the United States, she always asks me things like, is this common American knowledge or
is
this not?
Yeah, I do ask that because I don't know.
Right.
Yeah. It's hard for me to know.
And most of the times I don't know either.
Not most of the time, but
sometimes, I guess.
Sometimes, yeah.
I feel like lots of the times.
Yeah. Well, okay, maybe we'll talk about something in my book. Ooh, I actually think that's a good idea. Okay,
well, maybe we'll do that in a couple weeks.
Just add another thing, right?
Yeah, start writing right now.
That's how I work. Yep.
Yeah, it's a good day. We've had beautiful weather here.
Yeah, it was a gorgeous weather. Weekend. Mm-hmm.
We had a good Mother's Day.
It was awesome.
At least I thought we did.
I thought we did too.
Okay, good.
We conked out though after the weekend of all the things. I mean, last night it was like we were both zombies.
But I think a lot of that had to do with...
we slept on the trampoline.
Due to this all the CMEs and the electromagnetic storms going on, we've had good northern lights here, as has most of the states. And so we stayed up late one night watching those.
On Friday.
And then we told our boys that we would sleep on the trampoline with them.
Because they said it was supposed to be better.
Right, but it wasn't.
It wasn't. There wasn't any that we could tell. And you just don't sleep very good on a trampoline with
still a little chilly.
6 people. Well, and also it was like so on the edge, sinking. I don't know. It was...
Yeah.
It was...
So I think that was it. And then
we did so much gardening.
We did a lot of
people
everything.
Over, and I mean...
That's true. We had a Cinco de Mayo party last weekend, and then we had like another
taco potluck party
thing for more friends this weekend. And
I think we just were dead to the world.
Well, then for Mother's Day, you wanted to garden.
Yep.
As a family. Mm-hmm. And then you let each kid pick 20 minutes
of everything they wanted to do.
Something they wanted to do, which turned into a football game, a volleyball game, a soccer game, and wrestling on the trampoline.
Mm-hmm. Lots of very physical.
Lots of physical things.
Yep. And then games.
And then we did play a little bit of cards.
Card games. But it was, I mean, we were dead to the world, both of us.
Yes. I'm actually quite ready for bed again right now.
Me too.
But I had a really bad day. Not bad day at work. Just a exhausting day at work.
Yeah. Today was kind of a hard Monday. It was a Monday.
It was definitely a case of the Mondays.
All right.
So I've gotten into a habit these last couple of weeks of asking you what you think we should talk about. Mm-hmm. And I like hearing your answers because they're never right, which makes sense because
I don't know.
Why would you guess correctly in like a 1 in a million
It'd be cool though if one time I did
I
guess
know.
correctly.
So I'm going to ask you, what should we talk about today?
The Northern Lights.
That's a good thought. You will find that I very rarely coordinate stories with real life events.
Yeah, okay.
So no Northern Lights today.
How about a strange or unique mother? Because you just had Mother's Day.
Kind of.
Oh.
Kind of.
Oh. Well, there you go.
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah. That's definitely the closest you've ever been.
Well, there
But
you
it
have
has nothing to do with Mother's Day. But it is kind of,
Well,
you know, there's a woman, so.
there's a woman.
So you got that going for you. Okay, here's my question for you to start.
All right.
Who are some of your most memorable neighbors you've ever had?
My current ones?
Currently, we have good neighbors.
Yep.
And good, I mean memorable. Not good.
Yeah, you're memorable in not a good way.
Yeah.
Is that what you were trying to say?
Not necessarily, but sure, let's go that way.
Well, that's what I'm referring to.
Okay.
We had awesome neighbors in Cleveland. Well, I think we've actually talked about John before, haven't we?
I have no idea if we have on the episode, on the
He
podcast
was
or not.
a very memorable neighbor.
Yes.
And other people in that university apartment complex, like outside our window, the ones we could see.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
They got their arrested.
They get their kids taken away.
Yep, and arrested. So that was memorable.
Yep. See, I totally had forgotten about them.
Our house was memorable in Tri-Cities, but I don't know that our neighbors were.
What about growing up? Do you have any memorable neighbors growing up?
I had really fun neighbors. I think most of my memories are good. Yep, I don't have any like memories of my parents not really enjoying certain neighbors or neighbors being rude. So yeah, no.
So I had interesting neighbors in Texas as a little kid.
Oh.
And I'd be curious. I feel like this is a very true statement, but I'll be curious. My brother so San Antonio for me was like a little kid land. It's home for him because he's older than me and that's where he went to high school and stuff. Like he's never lived here in Washington. And he likes to text us as soon as the shows come out and tell us things about them.
He does.
So I'll be curious what he remembers about these neighbors.
Okay. Yeah, that'd be
because I have very distinct memories of them, but I was like 8 years old.
Mm-hmm.
So across the street from us, so we lived on Comanche Pass.
Wow, I'm impressed you can remember the name of the street.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
And Cimarron.
Ooh, wow.
Which is a suburb of San Antonio.
Goodness gracious. You're legit.
Now, if I remember right, across the street from our house was another street. Okay. So it was like a T. Mm-hmm. We lived in the middle of a road, but there was another one across from us. On the corner of that street, there was a police officer who ended up getting arrested for being corrupt.
Corrupt police officers are always good neighbors.
Yeah. Now,
does that remind you of potentially what you're listening to currently?
Kind of. I don't know if I've ever talked about this on the podcast. I am a giant court YouTube listener. Like when there's big trials going on, I am so worthless when it comes to anything because I'm just listening all day.
It's like his soap opera.
Yeah. So right now the Karen Reed trial is just the best thing that's ever happened to me.
But like he listened to the entire Johnny Depp and
and Alex Murdaugh trial.
What's her name? What was the crazy
Amber
name?
Heard.
Amber Heard, yeah.
And I can't remember her first name, but the Shabusiness trial and I just love them. I can't wait for the I listened to the whole Rust, Hannah Gutierrez, the armorer.
Oh yeah.
The Alec Baldwin. And Alec Baldwin starts here in July.
Wow.
And then we'll have the Koberger Idaho 4, which is just down the road from us next summer. So it's like better than the movies. And I learned a lot.
He uses all these weird legal words that I'm like, what was the one today?
Voir dire.
Voir dire.
Yeah.
How do you spell this?
I have no idea.
Yeah. How do you even, is it a W or a V?
I don't know. In my brain, it's a V, but I don't know.
Voir dire.
Voir dire. That's when you talk to the judge about what you want to talk about
In court.
in court, not in front of the jury. So you're essentially questioning
To see if it's okay
the witness, and then the lawyer. Both lawyers kind of will, and then the judge will decide what can and can't be brought before the jury.
Interesting. That's so weird.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Anywho, I think that his ex-wife, after he went to jail, still lived there. If not, it was the lady that moved in after him.
Mm-hmm.
She had some kids my age. Her dementia-ridden father lived with them. He was old.
That's always an adventure.
Well, he would peel batteries like an orange and try to give them to us. Like it was a fruit.
I don't even know what that means.
Like he would take
Like the Duracell label?
Yeah, like literally. No,
it-
like pull the metal casing off of batteries.
What does it look like underneath that?
I don't remember. Like just a metallic cylinder.
What?
Yeah.
I didn't even know you could do that.
Well, things you learn from dementia old people next door.
That is weird.
But we'd also catch giant grasshoppers, and they had a fish tank with big fish,
and then
we
you'd
would
feed them. That's awesome.
Yeah. My other next door neighbor. So on our left, we had the Sweets. That was their last name.
The cop that got arrested?
No, they were across the street. On my left was the Sweets. They were really sweet. It was a very applicable name.
Okay.
Julie Sweet. She was a little older than me. But on the other side, I had a neighbor named Trey. I think his name was Trey. He was probably like in his 30s. And he was a single dude. And he would let us just come over and use his house whenever we wanted.
That's really weird.
It was really weird. Looking back, it's like super weird. Trey ended up going to jail as well.
Okay, wow.
Both my parents worked. As a parent now, I would definitely never let my children hang out with the...
Single...
He was a cool guy. He had a little shih tzu named Coco.
Oh. Yes, this sounds terrible.
Yeah, so I remember those neighbors. But like I said, he got arrested too.
And you would just go into his house?
Yeah, he was just cool. Like, come play pool.
And you were 8?
Well, I mean, I was all of elementary school.
What did he get arrested for?
I think it was a 3-strike thing. So nothing big. It was just multiple offender.
For like shoplifting?
I don't know what. I think he was writing bad checks.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, don't they just bounce?
Well, maybe if they're big enough, then it becomes,
a big problem.
a bigger problem.
Huh.
So anyways, my brother can fact check me on our neighbors in San Antonio.
Okay.
But those are my memories.
Okay. It's good.
And obviously they have to be somewhat true.
Peeling batteries is I've never heard you talk about this thing ever.
There's a lot of things. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, we had we had a candy man in our neighborhood. The candy man, and we'd go to his house and he'd give us free candy.
Is
And
he a pedophile? At least Trey was just cool. Just like, come play pool.
I mean,
have a drink. It's hot.
I don't know. Anyway, that was creepy.
Yeah.
A little bit. But
so,
anyway.
Our current neighbors, they're pretty terrible though.
Oh my gosh. Don't get me started.
I don't think have we ever talked about our neighbors on the podcast?
I don't know to what extent. I don't think.
Let's just leave it at our next door neighbor is a drug dealer.
They like drugs.
They like drugs.
They like to deal them and to use them.
Yes.
And to be in their hot tub in them while on them.
Yes. Doing a very adulty activities.
For hours.
Because apparently you can do adulty activities for hours when you're high on methamphetamine. But
that's what they say.
That's what I'm a witness, as are you.
Oh, man.
But it's nice because our house is set off the road by like, I don't know, a few hundred feet.
Mm-hmm.
And so our front yard looks into their backyard.
Is that nice?
Well,
we literally built a fence so that we
exactly,
couldn't see into their backyard.
So they're pretty cool.
Oh, man. We've called crime check on them so many times.
It's to the point now in our neighborhood. And it's just funny because we live in a nice neighborhood.
Yeah.
And the actual drug dealer is not the homeowner. It's the homeowner's grandson who's like in his mid-20s. But now it's like anytime there's like a crappy car driving around that looks lost, you just like wave them down. You're like, oh, if you want drugs, it's that house.
Yeah.
Like that's the one you're looking for.
They also have their lawn covered in dandelions. I mean, like they have not
tall dandelions.
done anything to their yard.
Ethne does nothing but our yard, so it is a major thorn in her side.
Oh, but that's not all I do.
Yep.
It's just during planting season. It's busy.
But our yard's so beautiful right now.
It does look
It's
really
like an
good.
invisible wall between our two yards.
It really
even
is.
though they touch.
Yes, because I actually fertilize. That's
Yeah.
the only difference.
Well, and mow.
Well, and mow, sure.
Yeah. So, long story short, neighbors can make or break where you live.
Oh, for sure. Mm-hmm.
So today we're going to talk about neighbors.
Neighbors, I like it.
Neighbors. Our story begins in Japan.
Ooh,
Actually, it's going to end in Japan too. The whole story takes place in Japan.
I love Japan.
Yeah, good. We're going to use your insight. So this is in 1996,
Okay.
right near a little place called Nara.
Oh, Nara. I love
Nara.
Nara, the bowing deer.
You and I have both been to Nara. You've been there many times. I've been there once. Cool place.
Yeah.
They have, like Ethne said, deer that bow to you, and then you can feed them.
Yeah, you give them osenbei, and they are like, please, please, and they bow to you, and then...
But they're like little deer.
Oh, they're tiny. Yeah, they're
They're
like...
the size of our dog.
Yeah. I mean, they're tiny. A little bit taller, but yeah.
It's old, original capital of
I
Japan.
know, it's really pretty. It's
They
beautiful.
have a really, really big statue there, right? Isn't that where the really, really big one is?
I think the big Buddha.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, they have
Nara.
quite a few of those, but yes, there's a very, very big one there.
Anyways, so tell us a little bit about the living conditions in Japan. More importantly, kind of the way the houses are situated.
Super semi.
Yeah.
Everything is so close together and tiny and goes up a lot.
Right.
If you have like a single dwelling home, you're like, wow, that's a
So
big
is it
deal.
safe to say you're probably more connected with your neighbors in Japan than you are in most places in the United States?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
I mean, maybe not if you lived in like New York City
Right.
or something like that.
Right. But yes, for sure.
Yeah, there ain't no big yards or any yards.
No, and many people use the train system because it's so good. So there's a lot of people walking, to and from the station and to different places because they don't necessarily have a car. But even the cars are so tiny, you can literally hug them.
Yeah.
Like the
I do not fit in many of them.
roads you're going down are so tiny.
Yeah. I remember that when we went into, the total side note, the Tokyo subway system.
Oh my gosh.
And I was like terrified because I swear we were like underground 40 stories.
Oh, I think we were.
And it's like, I don't feel comfortable with this.
We just keep on going down and down and down. And yeah. Yep. That is how it is.
So,
I wonder how it is in New York, like the subway system. I've never been there, but like.
either. I don't think it's nearly as,
No, but I mean how deep you're going down. I'm
Yeah.
just curious.
I
Like,
don't know. I don't think it's nearly as sophisticated and layered
I'm sure not.
as Tokyo. So, yeah, they're very tight.
Very tight. A lot of
Very
like
tight.
fourplexes, a lot of apartments, like
Except for your Japanese parents. They got like 3 houses.
well, that's
laid
what they're
out on-
considered very wealthy. And they kind of are in the country. But even like my backdoor neighbor, Maiko's family, very wealthy. Like single family dwelling, like home. They actually had like a carport and a drive. I mean, that's like
Big
yeah,
time.
big time.
Big time.
And I could literally reach out my window and pet her dogs when they would jump up. Like
Yeah.
that's how close their
I
yard
just
was.
loved how you probably won't remember these because you never had them. As a little boy, I had these little toys called micro machines.
Oh, I know micro machines.
I feel like everything in Japan is micro machines.
It's like
Like
gi-
this
giant
dishwasher
micro
holds
machines. Yeah.
4 plates.
It's true.
This sink holds 1 cup. Like
Everything is very tiny.
Chisai.
Super chisai.
So here we are in Japan, 96 in Nara, and there is a lady there by the name of Kawahara Miyoko.
Karahara?
Miyoko.
Kawa?
Kawahara Miyoko.
Karahara. Kawahara.
And first off, I just want to say kudos to a YouTube channel called Japan Analysis, because that's where I got most of the information for this. And this is not a well-known story. So kudos to them. I think the author of that channel speaks Japanese and so could get a lot of information that otherwise we would not have.
Right?
But Mrs. Miyoko got out her CD player, because it's 96.
Mm-hmm.
She placed it on her porch which means it's very close to the proximity of many other people's porches.
Mm-hmm.
She got it as close to her neighbor's house as possible and began to play extremely loud hip-hop and upbeat dance music as loud as she could.
Perfect. It's a dance party for the complex.
Yeah. Now, it's important to note that she was doing this in spite of her neighbors because she was not happy with them.
I guess that's a nice way of doing it.
Well, if you were her neighbor, how would you feel?
Depends on what time of day.
Yeah, that's a good point. It's a good starting point.
I mean, I feel like I would be kind of like busy doing my own things, and I could probably close my sliding door and I could, do my stuff.
I love music. A lot of the music she played sounds to me like
trendy.
No, like video game, like arcade music.
Oh.
Like upbeat, crazy Japanese music that doesn't really exist here. At least not in my world. No, way more annoying than that. Yeah, not Mario.
But I think that would make me happy for a little bit.
Yeah, but this isn't Mario. This is like... Anyways.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
So how long could you tolerate it?
Oof. I mean, it really just depends if I'm trying to
You're
sleep.
in your cheese-side little house.
Yeah, but it depends on if I'm trying to sleep. It depends on if I'm...
If they played this music for an hour straight, no matter what I was doing, I think I would be very ready to do something about it.
But you are more like particular about your music and like the vibe you're feeling. I feel like I'm kind of like, meh, I could handle it. I don't think it'd bug me even.
So this is very true. I listen to, the loudness of the music I think would bother me less than it would bother you. But if it wasn't the right music, it would definitely bother me.
Oh, yeah.
But I think the noise would bother you more than it would bother me. But maybe not.
It depends on, again, the time of day. If I am trying to sleep, I would be literally like, I would go to her balcony and just knock it off the balcony.
So let's say she played it all day and all night.
Oh. Well, she would be losing her somehow. I would I don't know, get a fishing rod if I could. I don't know. I have no idea, but it would be falling off the balcony railing or wherever it was.
What if she played it for 9 years straight?
Because she doesn't like her neighbors?
Because she doesn't like you.
I mean, how is that possible?
9 years.
How does it not break?
Well, I'm sure.
Doesn't she have a job? Like, does she leave it on when she goes away?
9 years.
I don't. This is ridiculous. I can't even. Like the weather. Like if it's pouring rain, how do you do this?
Well, she's got a porch, like a cover over her porch.
Oh my gosh. Is she deaf? Maybe she's deaf.
Maybe.
Maybe she didn't know.
Yeah. That's a hypothesis. It's right up there with being the spawn of Satan.
Okay, seriously, how that would... No, you would have to have a conversation with this person or like call the police for like, what's the word?
Public nuisance or something.
Yeah, you'd have to.
So the police were called lots of times. There was a brief time that she did turn it off during those 9 years because she was in jail, but we're going to get to that later.
Oh.
But besides just playing really crappy music as loud as possible for 9 years straight, she would also do these things. She would get in her car and park it in front of the house and just sit there laying on the horn.
Is she mental?
I think a little. Just blare her horn. While the crazy dance music is going. Yeah.
I'm so perplexed. If you guys could just see my face, it would be like the most perplexed. This is bizarre. Okay.
Yes. All the best stories come out of Japan.
I don't know what that says about Japan, but it's probably true.
Yeah. Every morning at 6 a.m., she would go out on her balcony and she would bang her futon.
Well, everyone does that.
And she would sing the same song every morning. And I wish I had it for you. I don't. But the translation was, go away quickly, or I'll slap you.
That's awesome.
And she would scream this
While the music was on?
All the music's on while she's banging her futon.
She sounds like a piece of work.
To say the least.
Yeah.
To say
This
the
is
least.
perplexing.
So the futon song helped propel her actually to stardom in Japan.
Wow.
Remember our very first episode, we talked about the Japanese game show?
Actually, we've had so many of our listeners reach out to us saying...
With the new documentary?
Yeah. Saying, hey, there's this new documentary of the podcast you did. And, we're going to take credit.
Yeah.
The documentary totally was inspired by us.
That was like a year ago. So
Yeah.
they were like, oh my goodness, this is the greatest story of all time.
So if you could handle watching it, I mean, that episode was so cringeworthy. I was dying for this
It's our
poor
very
man.
first one. If you've never listened to it, you have to go listen to it.
Yeah, you have to. But I will say, I don't think I could watch it.
The
Like-
documentary?
No. I mean, just the way I felt for this poor guy. Anyway, I don't want to ruin it for anybody. I literally don't think I could watch it.
Yeah.
Because my heart...
You haven't yet, so.
But we've had lots of people reach out to
I
us.
haven't had lots of people.
Yeah, okay.
So the reason he did the documentary is because he wanted, or the game show originally, because he wanted to become famous.
Yeah.
So this lady did not want to become famous, but she became very famous in Japan.
Well, he's actually becoming famous now, actually, if there's a documentary about
Well, I
him.
guess that's true. At least there's a documentary here in the U.S. about him.
Well, I guess that's true. Okay, so she did not want to become famous, but
This is not her plan.
So she made up this song herself.
Yeah.
Okay.
But she became the butt of many, many jokes and many, many memes in Japan.
Oh.
For example, she would show up in like anime shows. There would be a crazy woman, singing, go away, hitting her futon on a balcony. They talked about her on game shows. There was even a movie called Mrs. Noisy that came out because that is what the country affectionately came to know her as.
Wow.
Because she was noisy. I don't know if you saw the connection with the name.
I mean, I feel like
And
I
the
saw the
actions.
connection.
Okay,
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
Just want to spell that out for you.
I just don't even know what to say about her. Go away. What was it again?
Go away quickly, or I'll slap you.
Did she have friends?
I doubt it.
I
doubt it.
mean, okay.
Like, how would you like to have her
How
in
does
your
she
book
have
club?
her own conversations? Like if she's like calling her mom, like, hey mom, how you doing? Happy Mother's Day. Like there's this noise, music in the background all the time
Yep.
for herself too.
Yep.
Nope. This is too much.
So, and obviously, she didn't like this one neighbor, but I feel bad for all the other neighbors because it's hard to direct your audio, torture to one person.
This is true.
It kind of goes everywhere.
Yeah.
She's an audio terrorist.
An audio terror. Do we know why it is that she despises her neighbor? Do we learn this?
I know why.
Oh, are you going to tell me?
We'll get there.
Oh, good. Because I must know.
So, now, if you were lucky enough to walk past the house of one Mrs. Noisy, she'd also yell at you.
Why? Because you're walking past?
Yeah.
What would she yell at you?
Go away. Go away. No, I don't know what she'd
Or
yell
I'll
at you.
slap you.
Or I'll slap you. Or she'd honk her horn at you, or whatever she was up to at the moment.
Oh my gosh, this
What,
lady is too much.
What year were we?
1996.
No. What year were we in Japan?
I lived there in 2001.
I'm just trying to wonder if we were in Nara at the same time. Like, could we have seen her? But I think we would have been too late.
In 2001. And we went like
No, we would've
7
been, like,
years later.
2007-ish.
So it would have been like 2007 or
Yeah, we probably missed her.
2008 maybe.
It's a shame.
That is a shame.
I would have been really confused back then.
I think we all would have been.
So, but she also made it a habit, not just being super noisy. She would go to the house of the neighbor she didn't like, and she would ring their doorbell like in the middle of the night, like over and over and over.
She needs
that's
like
cool, too.
She needs like a restraining order. I mean, that can't really. I mean, I don't know if that really can count by audio. I don't know. Is there such a thing as like an audio restraining order?
I don't know. I haven't seen any of my trials.
Right. I just don't understand. I mean, it's too much. It's not okay. So the police should be able to have like.
Yeah, so the police would come out, but she would largely just ignore them.
Oh my gosh.
You know, like there's some videos I saw of police with like megaphones, like turn down your music, and she just totally like whatever.
Okay.
In the middle of the night.
Can you admit someone like this to some place that needs help?
Well, and that's the funny thing. You know, Japan has very different laws.
Oh, for sure.
About so many
things. Yeah, that's true. But still, it's bizarre.
Yeah. So these neighbors spent over this time about $90,000 trying to counter either reinstalling their home with double pane windows, getting tons of security cameras. I find that number really high, like $90,000. I don't know what you could do with $90,000 on your small little apartment to make it.
Yeah, I don't, that's a lot. But
they like put mattresses all up around all of the walls and ceilings inside.
Maybe Japan's just an expensive place.
That's true.
So if that's not converted properly or something, but yeah, what would you do? Oh my gosh, that is so terrible.
Yeah. So like I said, this started in 1996.
I want to count my blessings that our neighbors aren't.
They sell drugs, but they're
pirates.
quiet.
Yeah.
And they're pretty cool when you talk to them.
Yeah.
We've had multiple drug dealing neighbors. They've all been very cool people.
Mm-hmm.
One-on-one.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
I mean, the traffic is very annoying. But they still took care of their house. Honestly, I wouldn't care if you dealt drugs. If you were just like, took care of your house. If you just like mowed your lawn and fertilized. And like, I don't know. Anyway, whatever.
Yeah. So in 1999, 3 years after this all started, she was taken to court and fined $5,000 for playing loud music.
Oh, well, finally something happened at least.
But as we know, do you think this stopped her?
Obviously not.
Obviously not.
Yeah.
3 years is only 1/3 of the way through 9. So in 2000, she was again taken to court. This time for kicking the neighbor's gate and damaging it. And this time she was put in jail for 46 days.
How good.
So those were some of the time when the music stopped.
That would have been amazing.
That would have been.
What if she went to jail, but she had still left her music on?
We could maybe like at that point, like throw a rock or
I would
break it somehow.
Literally scale the railing. If she's like on the second floor or something, I would.
She is up on the second floor.
Legitimately, it would die. 1,000 deaths, that thing.
Yeah. So that was the only time during this 9-year period that the music stopped.
Why don't these people move?
It's very expensive in Japan.
What's true?
You know? I don't know why. And it was probably the best 46 days of their lives.
Oh, I'm certain.
Probably the whole neighborhood. They probably had a block party like every day.
Yeah.
It's like a silent block party.
Silent block party because I can't handle. This is
Everyone's celebrating, but quietly. But the day she got out, she started her music right back up.
Wonder if it like keeps her company. So at the LA airport, there was this old lady. We had this layover that was forever. And she had this little cart. And the cart was really squeaky. But she was like going like this, rolling it back and forth. So my dad offered, like, hey, let's try to find you some WD-40 and we'll like take care of the squeak. And she did not want him to take care of the squeak. It, like, she even said it like comforted her.
She was like talking to it.
I
like
mean,
Wilson the ball.
Maybe. And I just, as a 14-year-old, I was like, okay, this is.
Was this your first experience of LA?
Yeah, this is also where I saw the bad guy from Kindergarten Cop, same time frame.
Nice.
Yeah, because when you hang out in the LA airport for like 8 hours, lots of great things happen. You know, squeaky wheels.
I've hung out in LAX lots of times. I don't know if anything as great has ever happened.
Well, when you're 14, I feel like you can just people watch and it is great.
We did go once. We went down to Mexico with the kids and they all had wheelies at the time.
That's
Remember
true.
that?
Yeah, I do. But were we in LA?
Yeah, we were in LA
and
for a few hours.
All those tunnels in the basement?
Yeah, so we found there's a bunch of connecting tunnels where you can walk from building to building.
We just like hung out down there and let them wheelie all around.
Because there's no one else down there.
That's right.
Because most people use the, pretty walkways and the buses and trains.
I didn't even know about those.
And they were wheeling all over the place, man.
That was great.
Yeah.
Anyway, so maybe it's something like that. Like maybe it almost comforts her. Like she's so used to it.
There is a reason that we're going to get to.
Oh, good. Does it make sense? Is it logical?
I don't know if it makes sense, but it's going to make you change the way you think of her, I think.
I hope so. Because
But it's not going to make sense, no.
Okay. But I'm going to have a paradigm shift here.
You're going to have a little bit of a paradigm shift.
Okay.
Maybe.
I can't
that. Tell you what you're going to do. But you tell me if you have a paradigm shift.
Generally speaking, I think you could know if I was going to have a paradigm shift or not.
So in 2004.
So that's 8 years later. Okay.
So, 4 years after getting out of jail, she's taken back to court again.
Okay.
This time, the court orders her not to play loud music while facing the neighbor's house.
Well, duh.
It only took 8 years. You think this would be the first thing the court ordered?
You would hope so.
But they also ordered her not to ring her neighbor's doorbell, not to honk her car horn, and not to defame them in any way.
It's interesting because Nara seems like a pretty chill place. Like if you live there, I feel like this is something you would find in a bigger city.
Yeah, this would be like in Shibuya.
Or Osaka, or like even Nagoya. But I just feel like,
Nara's kind of old school.
Yeah, it's like quaint and it just seems not appropriate. Okay.
Well, I don't know if it's appropriate anywhere.
Sure. I mean, obviously. Okay. So in 2004. All right.
So after the court ordering all of those things, how do you think she reacted?
Probably the same that she has with everything else. She could give a rat's butt.
That is correct. She did not stop playing her music.
Kept doing her thing.
But she did turn her home kind of into a fortress, running barbed wire all around it.
Barbed wire?
And placing CCTV cameras everywhere so that she could constantly be recording what was going on around her home.
Yeah, she's got a few screws loose, but you keep telling me that you'll explain why. So I keep trying to be sensitive to that.
Yeah. So it was so bad that other neighbors began being treated for insomnia. And the city literally changed its sound ordinance laws just for her so they could go after her.
That's so crazy.
So in 2005, she was arrested again. This time, they needed an entire team of 5 police officers to break into her home to get her out. Because of
the razor wire and the camera. Okay.
So, in court, it was reported that the decibel level on her street, on average, at any time of the day, was 80 decibels.
Oh my gosh.
That is the same as a police siren. That's crazy.
Lose my ever living mind.
Oh, yeah. Like, yeah, there's no way.
Like, I would be out of there in months if this was a thing. I can't even imagine.
Yeah. Like, not even just, I mean, like, all of the little things in life. Let's say you got a new job in Tokyo and you're moving, like trying to sell your place. Like, you can't, it's impossible.
That's true.
Or you get like,
hopefully they're all renting.
You want to get like a puppy. It's like, oh, I can't, or you have a baby.
Oh my goodness!
Like there's so many normal things in life. Even if you're not the one that she hates,
right?
Just because you live in the same area.
Yeah, I feel
a police siren all day, every day.
Well, even I was thinking about this. So we don't live too far. I mean, we can't see it or anything, but from a main road, and you can hear
like
sirens. Yeah, from a highway, you can hear sirens. But not near as much as where we live as if where we work, right?
Right.
I feel like every time we are working, especially you, because you're there more than me, but there are sirens, at least and you can hear them from the office building and it's loud and there's, you're more downtown. So there's lots of them. They're annoying after a while.
Yeah.
That's only 4 or 5 times a day, maybe.
It's true.
And for I don't know, 10 or 15 seconds. I cannot, you would have a perpetual headache.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
You'd have a lot of problems, I think.
Well, okay, so treating for insomnia.
Yeah. So she represented herself in court. And
that would have been good.
This is my favorite part. She wore a pink 101 Dalmatian sweatshirt.
I mean,
it's good court attire.
You got to do what you got to do. Yeah, for sure, pink 101 Dalmatians. So is it pink with black and white?
Yeah, the puppies are still black and white.
I mean, I'm glad she represented Disney.
I'm sure Disney loves the association.
I'm sure. I mean, I know I do.
Yeah. So in court, they played a video of her doing her iconic song in the morning, and she just danced along to it. Like, yeah, that's my jam.
Go away.
Go away quickly.
Go away quickly.
Or I'll slap you.
Or I'll slap you. We need to start singing this to our children.
Yeah. Well, you could do it in Japanese. Like once you heard it.
Oh, go away. Go away quickly. Or I'll slap you. Okay. I like it.
There are many times in our parenting life where that would be an appropriate song.
Definitely. It was funny. We're trying to sell one of our cars, and the backup camera works just fine. But the beeping part, like the sensor beeping, hasn't worked for a long time. And I actually chose not to get it fixed because I don't want another noise. I can look out my rearview mirror. I can look at my camera. It has the guidelines. It still has like the red and the green and the yellow. I can see it all. I don't need to hear the beeping. I don't want to hear the beeping.
No beeping.
Because I have 4 kids already. So it's just funny because
you probably can't even hear the beeping over the 4 kids.
One more noise. I'm like, oh no, I don't want it.
I know.
Yeah. So anyway.
For Mother's Day, I made dinner. And the kids were supposed to help me. And you came in and you're like, where are all the kids? And I was like, I don't want them around. It's just better quiet.
I know, but it's defeating the purpose. Anyway, that's fine. I get it.
So this time in court, she was found guilty. And this time she was sentenced to 20 months in prison.
Oh, hallelujah.
And fined $18,000.
Does she actually pay her fines?
I don't know.
Huh.
That's a good question.
Can we just say hallelujah, though?
Oh, totally. Like everyone's partying.
Cheering. Again, it's a silent block party.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there is a popular theory in Japan that Mrs. Noisy is actually the victim of this whole thing.
I don't know what that means,
I'm
but
going to tell you.
Okay.
But this isn't so much the rationale as to why she was doing what she did. But this is a popular
belief
internet
is that
theory.
she was the victim?
Yeah. So the theory goes like this. There is a controversial Buddhist group known as Soka Gaikai. Go Gaikai? How would you pronounce that?
Soka Gaikai?
Gaikai.
Mm-hmm.
That moved into her neighborhood, and it began pushing its belief onto the residents. Now, this Soka Gaikai is a newer Japanese Buddhist religious movement that began in the 1930s. Now, many in Japan are suspicious of it and look at it as a cult.
Yes.
Do you know about this group?
No.
Oh, okay. Just the way you said yes, I thought maybe.
No, I'm just agreeing, like, okay.
So, Soka Gaikai's expansion methods are a little controversial because it employs a Buddhist method called shakubuku. Good old shakubuku.
Shaka?
Which means to break and subdue, meaning inferior teachings. Break and subdue. Break and subdue. Shakabuku. So, the idea is that it's not like they're proselyting. You're not happy enough without this. We have to shakabuku people around us to break them down.
How do you shakabuku people?
I'm not sure how the actual physical shakabukuing goes.
Okay.
Either way, the story goes that they tried to shakabuku Mrs. Noisy, and she wasn't having none of that shakabuku in her life.
Okay. And so she blared music?
Well, she wouldn't join them, and so the theory is they started to vandalize her house to try to get her to move out because they were trying to take over like the whole neighborhood. And so her way of fighting back was to say like, oh, you want to shakabuku me? You want to vandalize my house? Like,
blare some
I'm gonna
music
blare some music and ruin your life.
Okay.
So, which is
strange
and a good way to fight back, I suppose. The problem is there's really no evidence of this theory other than there is one website that claims that's what happened. But then there's lots of other websites. So like you have this one website, let's call it website A, that claims that's what happens. So website B writes a story about it, sourcing website A. And then website C comes along and sources website B. So now it looks like there's 2 sources, but really it's all coming back from A. And then D comes along and sources B and C, and it looks like it's a bigger thing, but really they're all still sourcing A.
Okay.
And so there's not really any evidence of this being true at all.
Right.
But there are a lot of people in Japan who believe it. I mean, not a lot of people, but enough of a movement that it's around. So it is true, though, that many of Mrs. Noisy's neighbors have sued her. Nope. That she has sued them for vandalizing her home. Like gluing her keyholes, which is a good high school prank, breaking her flower pots, and throwing bricks at her home. But if she were my neighbor, I would do all those things too, probably.
I would do those things in an attempt
to shut her up.
To break her source of music.
Right.
Yeah.
So largely, I don't believe the theory.
Okay.
But just in all fairness, I want to throw that out there.
Okay.
So let's get down to it now. So if that's not the reason, then who were these sworn enemies of Mrs. Noisy? And what had they done to receive such vitriol?
Seriously.
And how did it all begin, Ethne?
This is what I'm dying to know.
How did it all begin?
Tell me, please.
So according to these neighbors of Mrs. Noisy, whom she hated, they claimed that originally they were friendly. When they first moved in, it was all nice and happy and good.
Okay.
It all started when they installed a lamp in their yard or in front of their home.
I mean, a lamp?
We have many lamps in our front yard.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody has so far gotten angry about them.
I mean, I still don't understand that. Why would that make her think that you need to have noise all the time and do weird crap?
So you would agree with me that it is safe to say that might be an overreaction.
Yes.
Okay.
Okay, Mr. Lawyer over there.
Just.
You would agree with me that it is safe to say. I mean, that was very lawyer-esque.
Dude, the prosecuting attorney in this case is the most annoying attorney I've ever heard.
Oh, really?
He just asks stupid questions.
But maybe there's a reason?
No, I mean the way he asks those questions.
Oh, the
are
way.
Stupid.
Gotcha.
They're so wordy.
Okay, well, I'm sure.
That not necessary. Okay, so they installed this lamp. Mrs. Noisy asked them to remove it, but they refused. That's when she began. She didn't first start with the music. I mean, she may be crazy, but she's got her limits.
Right.
She began by first prank calling them up to 75 times a day.
Ooh, prank calling. Did she sing her song to them in the phone?
I hope so.
Go away. Go away quickly, or I'll slap you.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, it's catchy.
Yeah. I thought you would like it. So that progressed to throwing fireworks at their house.
Wow, that's a whole new level. We've had fireworks shoot at us, and that was intense.
Yeah, that was pretty wild.
That was so crazy.
Forgot about that.
I don't know how you could forget about that. That was
Like
nuts.
being in a war zone.
Yeah, it was. Oh my
Literally
gosh.
had kids with holes burnt in their shirts.
Yep. And like blankets on fire and
Well, the neighbor's backyard.
oh yeah, the
started on
backyard.
fire.
I know. That was the wildest firework experience. It
Not
was
true.
great.
I started a fire in high school with fireworks. That was my wildest.
My cousins also started a fire in their field with fireworks, and that was a bad, very angry uncle situation.
Yeah. Mine was on Washington State University property.
Which is also bad.
Not great.
Yeah.
Not great.
You're confessing
Well,
over open air.
one, I confessed to law enforcement a long time ago. Two, even if I hadn't, statute of limitations would be way over by now.
Oh yeah.
But maybe that's where her idea of the noise war came from, with the fireworks.
Maybe.
Anyways, so what's up with the lamp? That's the question. Why is this lamp so irritating?
Yeah. That's a great question. Is she a vampire?
She's a quiet vampire.
No, she's a loud
I
vampire.
don't know. She hates quiet, so she.
Oh, I see.
Or she's like, oh, you've never watched What We Do in the Shadows, have you?
No.
So it's a mockumentary on vampires.
Yes. I mean, you've told me about it, but I haven't actually seen it myself.
So three of them are normal vampires that suck blood, but one of them is an energy vampire.
Ooh, I want to be that one.
And all he does is like talk to people in very monotone
Oh.
and sucks their energy. She's like that, but the opposite. She sucks out their energy by making them listen to
Terrible,
loud
loud,
music.
awful stuff. Okay.
Colin. What's Colin's last name? Oh, so anyways, he's my favorite.
Maybe I'll have to watch it.
So here's something that we learned in court that nobody knew. Well, people knew, but the country didn't know as a whole.
Okay.
Mrs. Noisy had a husband and children.
Whoa. I can't even. She obviously hated them too.
So she had a husband, 2 daughters, and a son.
Wow. 3 kids.
3
That's
kids.
a lot.
And I believe they were a little older. So here's the interesting thing. At one point, the neighbors claim that they saw Mr. Noisy, who they saw very, very rarely. But one time they saw him climbing up the stairs into his home on all 4s, like on hands and knees. Like it was a big struggle to get into his home. So what is going on?
It's getting weirder.
What is going on?
Maybe he's like, has to be in a wheelchair and they couldn't find his wheelchair, so he had to crawl?
Kind of something like that. So it turns out that her husband and 2 that we know of, 2 of her daughters, maybe the son as well, all suffered from an extremely rare genetic disorder called spinocerebellar ataxia.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Spinocerebellar ataxia?
Correct.
Obviously something to do with your spinal column and stuff.
Yeah. So it's a progressive, degenerative, genetic disease. So it gets worse, it breaks you down, and it's genetic.
Okay.
Meaning it's in the genes and probably hereditary.
Interesting.
So it's pretty dang rare. There's only about 150,000 active cases at a time in the U.S.
Wow.
So I have a country of, 350 million people?
In Japan?
No, I mean here in the States.
Oh.
So, but if you scale that down, I don't know how many
Right.
people live in Japan. But yeah, it's not very, very common, right?
Okay.
But essentially, everyone in her family except her had this. We don't know about the son, like I said. But it is often fatal, and there's no cure, there's no treatment, there's nothing really you can do. And what happens is it begins with this ataxia. You begin by losing control of your muscles, but then that progresses to, part of that includes your vocal cords, so they lose their ability to speak. They lose their ability eventually to move at all.
Oh, wow.
And eventually they can't breathe anymore.
Oh, that's
and then
sad.
they die.
Oh,
so
gosh.
it's a long, slow,
just hard situation.
Right. And so something about that lamp triggered her husband's ataxia. Like there was something about it that...
Wait, he never had it before that, and then all of a sudden...
No. But it exacerbated it, or it made...
I feel like this is where you just have good communication skills. I mean, I feel like everything in my life narrows down to good communication skills.
It's true. Communication's very...
We just talk to everybody. Like, this is the strangest thing. I have this situation, and it's making it worse. Could we remove it? I think people would be very respectful of that.
But here's the thing. Let's say she did and they didn't. Now all of a sudden, who's the jerk of the story?
Okay, well, even if she did and they didn't, there's still other ways to do this.
Yeah. Like throw fireworks at their house.
No, other ways, I said.
Prank call them. Blare your horn.
It still seems like, no, too much. Even if she did ask, no, it's just weird. The whole thing is so weird.
The whole thing is weird. So I'm going to get back to that thought in 1 second. So during these 9 years, her husband and 2 of her daughters passed away. We don't know about the son. Like, I don't know if he had it, if he didn't have it, if he just, maybe he was deaf and so he survived.
Maybe with each passing of her loved one, she got more and more.
Well, so she said this in court. She said, "This is not just some selfish, purposeless noise. It is my cries, my screams." So I think there was definitely a
psychological.
Yeah, this is her way of coping on top of everything else.
So peculiar.
Or maybe now that she's actually sentenced to 20 years, no, not 20 years, 20 months, and they're really cracking down. Maybe this is an excuse now, like
Maybe so.
trying to justify it.
But how do these people as neighbors not know that like her husband and her 2 daughters have passed away? I mean, I feel like that's something you can't hide well.
In our culture, that's probably true. And maybe it's true in Japan too. I don't know.
I mean, you're still going to have someone come and like take the body.
Maybe she didn't.
I guess anything with how weird she is behaving is possible. So that's gross to think about, but maybe possible. Maybe she put them in her coffee table. Haven't you seen those things like preserve your dead or your loved ones, and they're like in the coffee table? I believe it was your brother that posted it.
Yeah, I think that was a fake thing.
I'm sure it was fake, but that's what made me think of it.
Yeah, I do remember that.
You like epoxy them or something into a table?
So there's a really morbid story that's true out of Japan that we'll never do as a podcast because you would hate it. But it's similar to it. It's got dead bodies and staying in buildings for a long time on purpose. Yeah. The face you're making right now is why we'll never do it as an episode.
Oh, gee. Blech.
I'll tell you, all the best stories come out of Japan.
I don't know what that says about Japan.
We should just do a whole podcast on Japanese stories.
Oh my gosh.
And I love Japan. That's not a knock on them. I would move to Japan in a heartbeat.
I love Japan too. But
it's the greatest. Like Yoshinoya all day, man.
Yeah. Okay, so we just end there. This is
so
her.
She's now out of jail.
This is her reasoning, though?
That's her reasoning.
Okay. There's no more to this.
There's no more to it.
Okay.
That's all we know. She's out of jail. Japan has very, very strict laws as far as when someone's out of jail. If they don't want you to know where they are, you don't know where they are.
Oh, interesting.
Like it's not like she has to report as a audio file. And that, or anything like that. So no one knows where Mrs. Noisy is, what she's up to. But apparently she's being quiet. No, but apparently she's being
quiet now.
More quiet.
Well, hopefully the 20 months reshaped her mind frame.
Yeah. But it's an interesting story. When I first listened to it, I was like, man, this is insane. This lady's crazy, which obviously, regardless, she was in some sense. But then you hear this whole twist at the end, and it's like, oh, well, I kind of feel bad for her at the same time. But still, that's super crazy to blare music for that long.
You'd think even for her own well-being, it's bad.
Well, you would think if you have dying children and a husband, maybe that's not like the greatest thing to do.
Yeah. There's still more to this story. Like
there probably is. And that's the tricky thing. I could only find 2 real sources on it.
Oh, yeah.
And one of them was actually very similar to the thing I just said earlier.
Well, I'm just thinking, like, even if
was from the same source
there are no stories out there, I wonder if she is diagnosed with some sort of mental limitations, but maybe no one's ever known. I mean, Japanese people are very private.
That's true.
Very, very private.
They have insane privacy laws.
Oh, well, and
on top of that, which is probably why they have insane privacy laws, because they do regard privacy
and what they call saving face, which is very real.
Speaking of law, I watched a thing on their defamation laws, and you can't say things publicly that defame people even if they're true.
Wow.
Like that's how much they regard.
They are very
defamation.
Yes, it's
like if you cheated on your spouse, someone can't go out and say that person cheated on their spouse. Like you could be sued for defamation, even though it's true.
Yeah, no.
But here, you can only be sued for defamation if you're spreading false things about somebody.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I feel like there's more to that story as far as her choices in behavior. It's just it's way out there.
It's a unique style for sure.
I wonder if I want to watch some of these videos of like.
You should.
Yeah, I need to.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Well, remember,
I almost want to reach out to my Japanese friends and be like, hey, do you guys know this story? Like,
they probably would.
To Lena and stuff.
Yeah, it makes me think of our bad neighbor John that lived downstairs. What started everything was his super loud like AC/DC at like 4:30 in the morning.
Yes, that's what started
So
it
see
all.
that 9 years of that would have definitely resulted in bad things.
There were many, many more things to him, though. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, anyways, that's the story for this week.
Well, I liked it. I still feel like, yeah,
It's intriguing.
I want to know more about this Mrs. Noisy.
Well, you probably never will.
Well, she's probably still alive.
Well, that's true.
So I'm gonna
Maybe Netflix will
find
make
her.
a documentary in a year from now.
Oh yeah, the Mrs. Noisy documentary.
Yeah.
Maybe they're gonna start doing documentaries on all the unique stories from Japan, and they're just listening to us right now and getting all their ammo from us.
Oh, I'll have to look up some more then. So yeah, we'll be back next week with our 50th episode.
Woo.
But until then, I want to say,
Play your music loud.
oh, yeah, I mean, I'm definitely all for loud music.
No, you want to say, go away.
Yes.
Go away quickly.
Or I'll slap you.
Or I'll slap you.
All right, until next week, everybody, everyone have a wonderful week. Bye.
Goodbye.